Nassau County Board of County Commissioners meeting for January 17th, 2024. Please stand and join me for the invocation and the pledge. The invocation is going to be given by Mr. Irving Gilliard.
Good morning. Our Heavenly Father, again, we honor you, we praise you, we give you all honor and all glory. And Lord, as we begin this meeting, we ask that you just take care of our commissioners, lead and guide them in decisions that they have to make, the discussions they have to discuss, and continue to bless their support staff, the county manager's office, the county attorneys, and all of the staff that support them. Continue to look on our first responders as they go through dangers they see and dangers they don't see. You look on our military as they protect us, and continue to bless the citizens of Nassau County. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner McCullough. Here. Commissioner Farmer.
Here.
Commissioner Huffman.
Here.
And Chair Martin.
Here.
And absent is Commissioner Gray.
All right. Public comment for non-agenda items. Comments can only be for items under the authority of the Board of County Commissioners. Time limit is 3 minutes. I do not have any comment cards, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, public comment for agenda items. Except for quasi-judicial items, any member of the public can address any item on the agenda now or wait until the matter is addressed. The time limit is 3 minutes. Again, I have no comment cards, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on an agenda item at this time? And if you choose not to, you can always wait until it comes up on the agenda. Seeing none, move into expansion items. County Manager, do you have any expansion items?
I have none today, sir. Thank you.
County Attorney?
I have no expansion.
Resolutions and proclamations. Tab A, approve a proclamation recognizing Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist Week, say that word 10 times real fast, as January 21st through the 27th of 2024. I'll entertain a motion to approve Tab A.
I'd like to make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion from Commissioner Huffman,
And I'll second it.
second from Commissioner Farmer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Huffman, would you please read the proclamation?
Oh, well, Mr. Chairman, thank you, sir. A proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the week of January 21st through 27th as National Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist Week. Whereas Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetists, CRNAs, are advanced practice registered nurses providing anesthesia care to patients in the United States for more than 150 years. CRNAs are among the nation's most trusted profession. And whereas legislation passed by Congress in 1986 made nurse anesthetist anesthesiologist the first nursing specialty to be accorded direct reimbursement rights by Medicare. And whereas CRNAs are the primary anesthesia providers in rural communities and continue to be the primary providers of anesthesia care to U.S. military personnel. And whereas CRNAs practice in every setting in which anesthesia is delivered, from traditional hospital surgical suites and obstetrical delivery rooms to critical access hospitals, from ambulatory surgical centers to the offices of dentists, podiatrists, ophthalmologists, pain management specialists, and more. And whereas CRNAs are qualified to make independent judgments regarding all aspects of anesthesia care based on their education, training, and licensing. And whereas CNAs are trusted anesthesia experts, caring for patient safety, compassionately and delivering specialized, cost-effective care to all patients, from newborns to seniors, for every type of procedure in all facilities. And whereas CRNAs experience in critical care nursing in addition to anesthesia care, providing training and education to address unique healthcare challenges of some of our sickest patients, including veterans. Whereas the period January 21st through 27th, 2024, has been designated as National CRNA Week. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, the 17th day of January, 2024, that the week of 21 to 27 January shall be known as National Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist Week. I did say it 10 times, sir. Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County signed John Martin, the chairman, attested to by John Crawford, clerk of the court, and the county attorney, Mrs. Denise May.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that moves us into presentations. Tab B, recognize county employees for years of service. County Manager?
Good morning, thank you. Today we have 7 individuals that we're going to recognize. The first 6 are all out of your fire rescue department. They're all out and about and otherwise occupied at the moment. They'd hoped to be here, but it sounds like a few of them that are on duty or on a call at the moment. So I'm going to read the names and then we'll move on to our road and bridge folk. Michael Edens, Kelly Gunnell, Darren Askew, Benjamin Paul Kay, Charles Redling, Gregory Roberts. Each of them have 25 years of service in the fire rescue department, and it's an indicator of one of the things that we have been looking at, recently, is that we had a couple very populated cohorts that are all now in that 20, 25, 30-year range, and so over the next decade, as we have in other professions, we're going to start to see a pretty significant turnover in what our fleet or our staffing looks like in terms of experience and new leadership coming into play, both within the organization with some of the area nonprofits and sister agencies. And so it will be an interesting time. With that, we're going to move to Road and Bridge, and if, Mr. William Johnson, Darren, come on up. So Mr. Johnson now has 30 years with Nassau County. Now, whether or not you have met this man, I can assure you he has impacted your life, because he is responsible for grading essentially everything on the east side of Nassau County. If you drive down a dirt road, it's because he kept it clean. And I can tell you that it's one thing to be able to drive a piece of equipment, right? It's another thing to be able to surgically operate it to the point to put a grade on a road that you can get as true as a level. And it's not something you can just learn in a textbook. You learn that through experience and through operation. And so Mr. Johnson has not only exemplified the type of employee that we want within the organization, but he's also mastered a craft that is invaluable to the day-to-day lives of our citizens. And so that's I appreciate it, and I'll turn it over to Darren.
Yes, such a great accomplishment, 30 years in one place, and like Taka was saying, the grader, when I first met William Johnson, it was about 25 years ago. I was just started, and he was a truck driver, and he an opportunity come open to run a grader. And back then, we didn't have apprenticeship programs or training. It was sink or swim. And he took that step. Most people would go from a truck driver to a tractor and work their way up, to a grader, but he jumped right to the grader, and they threw him in Callahan route. And I actually lived on one of the dirt roads, and and you just start and you're hearing stuff, and everybody's saying, well, he'll never make it. This is it for William. And most people then would sit back and wanted you to fail, because that'd give them an opportunity, because it was strictly on seniority. Well, he got on that grader and he started, and I lived right there on one of the roads he was grading, so I was hearing it from the community there. Oh, man, this guy's making a mess. What's he doing? But he hung in there, and he kept on. He kept on. It wasn't that much longer. People were saying, you know what, William's doing a pretty good job, ain't he? I said, yeah, he's doing good. And next thing you know, he's getting Christmas cards and birthday cakes. And, he's stopping in the community. Kids come out there, and he'd let them see the grader. He was that type. He become their grader man, and that's the way they looked at him. And for 20 years plus, he did Callahan. And then I was moved up into supervision, and there was an opportunity came where he could come to the east side, which he lived on the east side, and it made more sense. It was, an increase for him, save gas and all that. Well, I didn't realize then what would happen. And I said, yeah, that's a great move. So he transferred over, and then not only did I hear from the road I lived on, the whole community was calling me, what happened to William? He's our guy, what's going on? And, you know, and finally, they did, you'd have thought the world ended. They was going, well, I still got birthday cards for him, and, and so when he moved over here, then I started hearing from the west side, the new guy was learning, but when he transferred over to the east side, I never heard nothing. The only complaints I got was, hey, we got a new grader operator, he's doing a great job. It's usually the other way around because, everybody's, they want their grader man. Once you get there and you learn that community and you know what the people want, some of them want you to grade this way and some want that way, and William took the time to get to know his grader route and know the people out there, and he's just a great blessing to the county, and it's a great accomplishment, 30 years like that, and I hope he continues to work here because he makes my job a lot easier too. So, appreciate it, William.
Thank you, Dave. All right.
Mr. Johnson, would you like to say a few words?
My boss man did it. He did it all.
You did it all? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
All right. Tab C, County Extension Director, Dr. Taylor Clem, regarding an update on extension programs and activities. Dr. Clem. Good morning. No bow tie today.
No bow tie today.
No.
How are y'all doing?
Doing good. Yourself?
Good morning. I do have a couple of handouts that I would like to give you all. I know that I sent this morning, though, just an attachment of some of these items. But so what's being, happy Wednesday morning. It's nice and chilly. But what I am passing around, was talking with Brandy, we thought it'd be a great idea for me to come up, do a brief presentation on what we've accomplished this past year and kind of looking into what we look forward to this coming year. Just as an update, and I know that we speak with you all on a regular basis, but it's just kind of nice to be able to kind of make sure that we're informing you of some of the big impacts that we're reporting. So there's two different documents that you have. One's just like our just very brief summation of our 2023 impact report. And in there it talks about like our high priority initiatives, the items that we target through all of our extension programming, and just some of the little impacts that we've accomplished just through the 2023 calendar year. And as well, this document is a list of just all of our indicators and impacts that we actually report to the state. So everything that happens with the University of IFAS or University of Florida IFAS Extension, essentially this 2-3-page document we compile statewide, and this is just Nassau County's numbers, and this is what we submit to state representatives as part of our reporting process. So this goes into a little bit more detail of just some of those numbers, but this brochure will go over some of the big higher impacts. But just looking at some of the things that we've accomplished this year, some of our big successes, obviously being in the new building has been a huge improvement to our extension programming. It's been great, and also it's, we're busy. Our office being that we're in the middle of Yulee, right on Minor Road, it's a constant revolving door, which is a wonderful thing. More people are learning about us, learning about our services that we provide, so it keeps us pretty busy, but that is one of our biggest successes is the help from the commissioners as well as like Public Works trying to get us into that new facility over the past few years has been a wonderful achievement. Some of the other big successes is we hired our new 4-H extension agent, Spencer Hewitt. So our office, after about a 24-month kind of lull, we're at full capacity, which is great. Spencer's programs in this next year, she's really taken on the leadership programming of our 4-H. So some of the programs she's doing is like Day at the Capitol, I Lead, Ledge. These are all different youth development programs that really help build leadership components among the youth. And it's great because they get to interact with elected officials, commissioners, as well as state representatives and other state leaders. And it's just a wonderful program that she's going to help lead, as well as she's starting, looking at revamping the 4-H shooting sports program. So she's already had her certifications for archery and is working on trying to finalize some of those requirements that she needs to do to open up an archery club for 4-H, just because it's a high demand. Other things that we've accomplished, like major successes, is the Forest Ecology 4-H team has started running, come out of the gate pretty strong. It's been great. We've had some great enrollment in that program. Our Follow the Water program just won Environmental Stewardship Award, which is a great success for that team. And as well as our extension agents kind of highlight some of our successes that we've had here in the county. Our programs, we're presenting on our programs at both international, national, and state conferences, and trying to help lead and promote our programs to an international or national audience is just a wonderful thing. So that shows us kind of being innovators in some of the programs that our extension agents in our office is doing or participating in. Some other big highlights that we see from this past year is between our volunteers, because our volunteers are a major driver of all of our extension programs. We've had over 6,000 volunteer hours, which is attributed to approximately, it actually comes out to about $165,000 value that's given to those volunteer hours back to the community, which is great. Our entire extension program is dependent, its capacity and breadth is dependent on volunteer service. So we've had multiple communities adopt solar-friendly landscaping language, which helps improve water conservation efforts as well as water quality efforts to water bodies and ponds. An estimated savings of 3.5 million gallons of water to Nassau County residents as a result of extension programs. We've had 7,380 youth actually this year demonstrate behavior change as a result of our 4-H youth programming, because we're doing programming within schools as part of like embryology program, youth speech contest, as well as all of our club activities, YEP programs, leadership, et cetera. So 125 agricultural clients have actually adopted different ag BMPs this year. A lot of it has to do with soil health as a result of our ag and natural resource agent, David A. Bear, and as well as Meg McAlpin's program, her VITA program about volunteer income tax. She helped save residents $33,000 in 2023 as being able to help provide that service as part of our extension program. And with her Medicare program, she's provided a $50,000 consultation fee, has actually helped Nassau County residents save around $10,000 in Medicare cost. And that, again, is just one of the impacts that we highlight, some of the impacts that is provided from extension agents in our office. So we always try to look at like what's the value, what kind of value do we provide to Nassau County? So we kind of have like a very generalized return on investment that we look at as like here's the value that we provide to the community. And by looking at our total like grants, donations, as well as the value of service that we provide, that we actually have like a calculator through that we make sure that we're pulling as correct information as possible on there. Currently, for every dollar that's invested by the county, we're returning around $1.41 in return to the county. So we're trying to make sure, like, how can we improve our ROI just so we can extend the breadth of our work. And then not included in that calculation is any of the funding that we get from UF. If we included any of that funding in that calculation, that would be a higher return value. So that's just kind of a highlight of just 2023, so you can take this and you can peruse it anytime. You know, you all can reach out to us, ask any of those questions that you may have as regards to our programs. This year, we're really excited to be back to full capacity within our office. So Spencer Hewitt, or sorry, let me take a step back. As part of our extension program, we have our advisory committee meetings, and each extension agent as well has advisory board meetings where we are making sure that we're meeting the needs of Nassau County residents. So we adopt and adapt our programs accordingly. This year, Spencer Hewitt, like I mentioned, she's going to be working a lot of the youth leadership side of our 4-H programming. Kelsey Irvine, our other 4-H agent, she's going to be doing a lot of like the traditional 4-H clubs, her hippology program, as well as one of the big needs that we've had highlighted is the rise of youth mental health. So we are looking at some of the resources UF provides to help try to create youth mental health programming for Nassau County youth. So David A. Baird is going to be doing a lot more work on like pasture management, soil health as part of that Ag BMP, as well as working with the Master Naturalist program to help really promote natural resources. He does a lot of work already on the coastal communities. Meg McAlpin, she's going to keep, our family consumer science agent, she's going to be working a lot on, again, Medicare, taxes, et cetera, for Nassau County residents. Myself, just doing a lot of my horticulture programming. My horticulture program is primarily divided among what I say is community, commercial, and residential. So our residential horticulture issues, dealing with those, community regarding the HOA, community association managements, and commercial really has to do with green industry professionals. So they all have different needs and all are addressed completely, are all addressed separately. And a lot of that is supported through continuing of the Master Gardener Volunteer Program, et cetera. So that's just a brief highlight of just some of the stuff that we've done this past year, as well as what we plan to do into the future. And we're constantly working with Public Works and facilities to kind of look at those next phase of improvements that we have slated to do out at the County Extension Office on Minor Road. So thank you all. Any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Clem?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Dr. Clem, one area
Huffman.
thank you, sir. One area that jumped right out at me is the 3.5 million gallons in water. As we focus on resiliency and, sustainability, that's an area where I learned through a discussion with you last year that most Floridians overwater everything.
Yes.
And your program is super in getting resets. People should reach out to you for that alone.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
And it's nice because a lot of the decisions that we can do to help remedy that impact is pretty significant. It's pretty easy to do. A lot of it just has to do with just adjusting timer and that frequency. And some of the biggest impacts that we have is just with regards to water savings for homeowners is just turn your irrigation system completely off and only irrigate as needed. That's actually University of Florida's recommendation. Our maximum twice a week in the summer, once a week in the winter is the maximum set by the Water Management District. But that's still more than plant needs and requirements. But yeah, looking at water conservation efforts and just basic landscape management practices, as well as like how are we building and developing. Part of that community side of my horticulture program is how can we make sure that the landscapes and the homes that we're putting in are set up for success rather than requiring homeowners to try to come back and retrofit their landscapes, which they may not have the skill or the knowledge on how to do so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
McCullough.
One thing over the last, I would say 5 years is how much our extension office has grown in the county. It's crazy to see like the involvement. But one thing, and Spencer and I talked about this several times is with that youth development, it was crazy to hear 6 and 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds talking, using words like, oh, our BMP practices and Florida friendly. And I think what is crucial with youth development, Mr. Hutman said he had a conversation last year, but our University of Florida, and I'm sure it's across all 67 counties, but I'm so happy for Nassau's that they're truly strategically teaching students resiliency and making them better consumers and producers as they grow up. And I think, David, when he's out there with the community, it's just, I think it's imperative to have IFAS, that we have these community services working with our students, working with our families. We have so many neighborhoods coming online. Look at our development, look at our DRCs every week, these communities. And, you mentioned you were working with these HOAs and really truly keeping this in Nassau County that we're proud of, that is resilient, that's growing, and we're smart consumers. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You guys know I'm a huge fan of youth development. I try to engage as much as possible
Oh, yeah.
anytime you guys are doing stuff. I just wanted to say thanks for these youth programs. I mean, a lot of people don't know what you guys do, so it leads us as commissioners to explain to the residents exactly what you guys do and what falls under your scope. but, some of the most rewarding, if you will, moments in what you guys do, in my opinion, is the youth development. And just being a part of seeing these young people, grow and demonstrate knowledge, beyond what the adults, know. A lot of times, kids, just like with these phones, you see the older generations where, it's like, I don't know how to use that phone, but I got a 9-year-old granddaughter that knows more about it than me.
Yeah.
And same goes a lot of times with this education when it comes to, plants or livestock or whatever we're dealing with. It's just neat to see that, we're planting some really, really good seeds here with these kids, no pun intended. And I think that, it's gonna really pay off at a certain point, because, these kids, you go poll the kids at the school that don't have any agricultural background, or maybe they didn't grow up the way we grew up. If you ask them where, buttersquash come from, they think it's down on the, east end of the store down there or something, it's down there next to the vegetables. They don't understand that stuff has to come from somewhere, and there's this big, long process to achieving a mature crop or what have you. So I just appreciate you guys and putting your best foot forward. You guys do a wonderful job. It's a fantastic engagement, and I invite the public, if you never came out to see 4-H in action and see what these guys do for our community, engage. It's open to all ages. It's open to all neighborhoods. I mean, it's a really diverse group of kids.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a really it's rewarding, because I grew up a 4-H'er, and I've watched the program evolve, and I just appreciate you and Kelsey and the whole staff for the great job that you do here in Nassau County. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would say, our extension office is dependent, like I mentioned, off of our volunteers and our partners. So what we do in the community is driven by the community also. So what we do is the success of those that are engaged with us. So, which is so appreciative, because it does make our job easier. So thank you.
So if anyone's wondering why I mentioned Dr. Clem's lack of a bow tie today, last time I saw Dr. Clem was at the Northeast Florida Regional Council Annual Award Ceremony, and he was receiving an award. I think you shared it with 2 other counties.
So it was
But hold
within
on,
our
hold
district.
on. But he was sporting a black jacket and a bow tie that day. So
Yep.
would you please talk about the award you received?
So, yeah, so the award that we received was the Environmental Stewardship Award for an extension program that we have called Follow the Water. And it was actually in 2019, the extension agents that are horticulture agents, we call ourselves the Green Team in Northeast District, Florida, we decided we needed to come up with a regional program that we can all do together. And Follow the Water was the program that we developed, and we ran that program. And as soon as we finished the last day of the program, university was shut down to COVID. So we had like a 2-year hiatus before we could do it again but nonetheless, the Follow the Water program is a water conservation-centric program where participants, essentially we say follow a drop of water. So you are learning about our interaction with our water resources by doing a 4-day watershed tour. So the day 1, you actually start in Okefenokee Swamp, and you're learning about the role of headwaters and the history of Okefenokee Swamp, which is really cool. And then we kind of work our way down the Swanee River watershed. So day 2, we learn a lot about the geologic history of Florida and how it has shaped like our springs and our interactions with springs. So we actually meet with members of the Swanee River Water Management District to kind of get a really cool tour. And one of those is a cave diver. So we hear about all those really cool stories that he has, but also about the agricultural BMPs that are being enacted across the state through research to help improve our springs and our water bodies through like precision agriculture practices. Day 3, we actually go to the city of Gainesville and we do an urban watershed, and we learn about the urban influences on water bodies. So they start actually at the outflow of the watershed and they work their way up to the headwaters on that day. And the headwaters, and people are at the headwaters, they learn all about urban water quality issues, and so they're hypersensitive to it. And on that last stop of that tour, the headwaters is a parking lot. So usually uncomfortable, and it's like storm drains, so they're seeing all the stuff get into the water that leads down to essentially right into a sink that goes into the aquifer. And then on the fourth day, we learn about coastal ecosystems. So we usually go down to Cedar Key, and we're learning about how everything upstream influences what we're seeing within our coastal estuaries, both the fisheries as well as the aquatic habitats. And we've done Cedar Key traditionally in the past, and actually this year, we were able to secure a different captain as part of our boat activity there, and we're going to be in Steenhatchee this year. So we're going to look about like the history of the clamming fisheries, and we are even trying to line up a snorkeling activity. So that's the activity that we do, and part of it is we're trying to improve individuals' connectedness to water. So we do know that as people have a deeper understanding of how they relate with water, they have an improved water conservation behaviors. So that's how we evaluate that program, to see how do people's behaviors or that connectedness to water change. And we actually do alumni events of past participants. We get together and just check and see how they're doing. And one of the big successes that we didn't account for, we were just thinking like, oh yeah, maybe I'll just share this information with others. But one of the big successes is one of our participants had a complete career change where they're now within environmental outreach, and they were a writer, and now they do a lot of communication and outreach with regards to water conservation. So, and that's so we want an award for that program.
Well, thank you and congratulations on the recognition.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, no other questions? Thank you, Dr. Carmen.
Thank you all.
All right, that takes us into the consent agenda. If any board member wishes to move a consent item on to new business, please do so now. Does any member of the public want to speak on a consent item? Any commissioners want to move any of the consent items?
Mr.
Commissioner
Martin,
McCullough.
With the assistant county manager, will he just go over tab G for us? Can we move tab G to new business? I think this is a big project as we
Yes.
come through. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? I would like to move tab D, the finance package. I've already discussed some of it with Assistant County Manager Ironman on the big ticket items to talk about, and things that are really good news that we need to share. So with the exception of tabs D and G, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner McCullough, second from Commissioner Hupman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Takes us into new business. First item of new business will be tab D, approved finance package 2024-5 and associated resolutions. Assistant County Manager Ironman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board moves forward with many things, a lot of these approvals follow in two steps. And so what you see on this list are really the follow-up step on the finance package for the grants that have been previously approved or those projects. So some of the items starts with about $840,000 transaction. This is related to the COPT hiring program. That program provides funding for 4 officers up to 3 years. You also see a $500,000 for the Evans Rendezvous. So we received a historical preservation grant to do some backbone repairs on that project. This is not the final development of that, but it is the essential repairs to provide a good foundation moving forward. You also see a couple things related to FDEP, $1.4 million related to Thomas Creek, and then $1.9 million through FDOT for some of the trail improvements. And some of those funds we've been able to reallocate to different projects through other actions. And so really this just lays out those final financial pieces to correspond to the actions that the board has taken.
Any questions for Mr. Ironman? Entertain a motion to approve tab D.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Hupman,
Second?
second from Commissioner Farmer. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Tab G, approve and authorize the chairman to sign contract number CN 3554 with First Coast Railroad, construction and maintenance agreement for the Pages Dairy Road and Chester Road intersection improvement project in the amount of $1,164,240. Mr. Ironman, or County Manager Pope. Oh, never mind.
We're gonna go ahead.
Deputy County Manager / County Engineer, Mr. Companion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The
Snuck
agreement.
up on me.
Yes, sir, sorry. The agreement before you today is with the railroad to perform the work within the right-of-way, the railroad's right-of-way as a part of the Pages Dairy Chester Road intersection improvements. The number here is actually for them to perform the work, which will include the improvements within their right-of-way. It's the signalization, the new arms, railroad arms, crossing arms for not only the vehicular traffic, but also the pedestrians and the new bike trail that are a part of that project. So this is within your budget approved for this project,
I
and it
always
was
like to hear those
anticipated.
words.
Yes, sir. And it was
And
anticipated.
under budget, right?
Yes, sir, currently. Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Any questions?
And what's not a part of this, just to add to it, if I may, Mr. Chairman, the bid for the project for the work outside of the right-of-way is actually due within the next week. So we're hoping for good numbers there, and just excited that this project is happening. So we're ready to get it off the ground.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Companion?
So, Robert,
Hey, Manager.
before you go, so for the folks watching, the way that it's going to time up is that you'll have intersection improvements at Pages Dairy and Chester, as well as improvements of Chester all the way down to Heron Isles, and that project is going to seem to the public as one project all the way through.
That is correct. As a part of the Wildlight DSAP 2 approvals that recently came through, they're carrying, what we're doing is four-laning Chester Road, continuing from David Hallman northward past Pages Dairy. And our project was scheduled to stop just past Pages Dairy after we install those turn lanes there, and even prepare for a future that's approved on your CIP, Pages Dairy extension that heads over to Black Rock Road. But Rayonier or Wildlight, as a part of their development, will be four-laning up to Heron Isles Parkway, installing a new roundabout. So that timing, as Taco mentioned, is scheduled to happen together so that it seems as if one project to the public, so they don't have to deal with one project finishing up and 3 weeks later a new project starts.
So one of the things, is talk about the perception of projects being delayed, and some of it is delayed, but on the other hand, as opposed to having the road and then come back with the utilities and then come back with the railroad and then come back with the four-laning, what we did is intentionally made sure it all was going to happen at once, and be painful for everyone one time, and then it's done. And so there was some strategy behind delaying the project.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Streamlined and efficient.
Yes, sir.
I like it.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve tab G.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
Motion from Commissioner Hutman, second from Commissioner Farmer. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, continuing on new business, any member of the public may address any item under new business at this time. Time limit is 3 minutes each. Is there anyone who wishes to address any item under new business? Seeing none. Tab J, discuss topics for the joint meeting with the school board being held at the School Board of Nassau County, 1201 Atlantic Avenue, Fernandina Beach, Florida, on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024, at 6 p.m. County Manager.
Again, it's anything that you all as individuals would like to speak with the school board about. I know Dr. Burns had sent over a list that they have, given the kind of the status of the school report that she likes to give, talk a little bit about impact fees and the related policies. And so if there's anything specifically that you all would like to talk about, we can certainly put that on the agenda.
Mr. Pope, would you just like us to let you know that individually?
You can individually, or you can discuss it today. It's your decision, yes, sir.
I have one thing, and you and I have talked about this, and I
Oh,
think I
okay.
saw.
I didn't know if you saw
no,
me.
I saw
Okay.
it. I saw
Sorry,
it.
Mr. Martin.
Actually, go ahead, Commissioner McCullough.
Oh, okay. I think one of the things, and I get, calls about this a lot, Mr. Pope and I know we talk about it frequently, but I would like it to be discussed between the commission and the school board, is, and I actually emailed this question to Dr. Burns, is really when we're looking at that CIP project, it's those true FTE counts required for the next building. And I think that if we can have that concrete information to give to our constituents, then it gives them peace of mind knowing that, okay, with X amount of bodies and students, this is what it will take for the next school to come in. So when we look at that CIP project, I know within it we have dedicated lands, but what I had specifically asked her for was what were the FTE counts required as we proceed to next school and next building, so that way as neighborhoods are coming online, people kind of have more definitive and concrete numbers and idealistic expectations of when we will see new schools and those allocations move forward.
So let me make sure I got it right. So what you would like is somewhat of an overview of kind of how the process works with the state, how the decision's made, you know, and I
Yes,
can't-
sir, I know, but I want it to be clear for residents who will be watching the meeting, and that way they have that information, that concrete, factual data.
Got it.
Any other commissioner have some input?
No, sir.
Okay, County Manager, you and I have talked about this before, on Citrona, by the middle, 30 Beach Middle School and high school. I drive that road every day, at least 2-3 times a day, and kids going to and from school, they've got the sidewalk. So you've got walkers, bikers, runners, skateboarders, roller skaters, everybody's, all they've got is the sidewalk. So I know that there was a project that some plans were made to where we can have some bike lanes there and some modifications done to Citrona. And you and I have talked about that being brought up at the winter strategic planning session, where if 3 of 5 or more of us want to make that a candidate project. I would like to put that on the school board's radar at our joint meeting and get their input on it too.
All right, we can do that.
Commissioner Farmer.
Yes, sir. Mr. Pope, add it to your list that I'd like to just get her overview of school safety. I know that she has her own police department, but I know that we also work, hand in hand with the sheriff's office. And if she could just maybe do an overview of school safety, because I know it's a big thing to a lot of the parents, is knowing, what we're doing, as far as, making sure that our children are safe. I think that'd be a good thing to talk about while we're there.
Yes, sir.
Any other input? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to tab K. Appoint a Board of County Commissioner, appoint a commissioner to the career source of Northeast Florida Regional Workforce Consortium. Before we go into that, where was I? I was at the Northeast Florida Regional Council Award Ceremony, and Ms. Coyle introduced me to a gentleman who is with the career source for Northeast Florida. And evidently, years ago, in fact, maybe as recently as, I think Commissioner Ford, former Commissioner Ford, served on that board. It's not one of our boards that we talk about every time we do a reorg or anything like that, but the other counties in our area have a commissioner that sits on their board. So he asked me, would we like to reengage with them and appoint the commissioner sitting on that board? I think they only meet 2-3 times a year, and sometimes it's via Zoom or teleconference. So if anyone is interested in that, that's what we can discuss now and appoint somebody.
My question is this, Mr. Martin. With Career Source, I know we work a lot with Career Source with CTE. What did he specifically say the role of the commissioner on the board was, Mr. Martin? More as an advisory role? Was it looking to engage our economic development? Did he give you specifics?
He did not give me any specifics.
Okay.
I mean, we were at an awards ceremony, so it was pretty busy. I got like maybe 3 minutes with him. And, I actually said, if nobody else wants to do it, I'll do it. But I've got a lot on my plate. I don't think this is going to be, I know this isn't what your question was about. I don't think this is going to be very time-consuming. I don't think it requires any travel. If it does, it would be minimum to wherever they meet if they do an in-person meeting. I think it may have been all of the above that you mentioned.
Okay, I mean, I was just curious about what this role was, and I didn't know if this is something we wanted to pursue without Mr. Gray today, or table it to Monday's meeting when Mr. Gray was here and he could have part. I didn't know if this was something he was.
Well, when you don't show up to a meeting, you usually get volunteered for things. So, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, I think
I am-
career source is imperative with economic development, and, especially in my capacity as, CTE education, we do a lot of work with career source, and there's a lot of good channels and avenues to involve your community in. That's why I was asking if he gave you a good job description, because there's so many opportunities to grow with Dr. Taylor Clem, Career Source does a huge umbrella in this county.
Well, I think, just a second, I think we would all agree that we should participate in this.
Yes.
And I don't know that there's any urgency on this, but let's go ahead and discuss I mean, we can reach out to Commissioner Gray, maybe we can have a board member and an alternate. And if he desires to be one of those, that'd be great. But can we go ahead and decide now if there's a commissioner interested in being a board member or an alternate? And then if Commissioner Gray is interested in that also, we can work that out. Would that work, County Attorney, County Manager? Okay.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Huffman.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and step up and take this on, and then we'll move down the road with it. So let's get somebody on there. I'll volunteer to take this position if the board feels that's adequate, and then we'll get started from there.
Okay.
All right.
So I will entertain a motion to appoint Commissioner Huffman to the Career Source of Northeast Florida Regional Workforce Consortium, with the caveat that should Commissioner Gray like to participate in that too, then he would have that option.
I don't mind volunteering as the alternate, if you know.
And everybody wants to be on this. Well, okay.
I mean, in that way, it makes it easy.
Yeah.
If there's a problem, I mean.
So let's go ahead and have a motion for Commissioner Huffman, and then we can always come back to this if Commissioner Gray has some strong feelings about it.
Yeah.
How's that?
Got
Does that make sense?
reservations, I give him my spot, you know, but.
There you go. And have Commissioner Farmer as the alternate.
Perfect.
Would somebody make that motion?
I move that Mr. Hutman serve as our Career Source of Northeast Florida Regional Council Workforce Commissioner for the 2024 year.
Yeah, and I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? None? And how about for Commissioner Farmer to be an alternate?
I make a motion for Commissioner Farmer to be the alternate on the Career Source Northeast Florida Regional Workforce Consortium.
And I apologize for the record, that previous motion was made by Commissioner McCullough and seconded by Commissioner Farmer. The current motion is being made by Commissioner Huffman and seconded by
Oh, Commissioner McCullough.
Commissioner McCullough. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. County manager business.
Yes, sir. I would like to take a moment and invite Brandy Carvalho and Elizabeth back up to give a update on your Vision 2050 program, as well as your most recent bicentennial event that took place this past weekend.
Good morning. It is so nice to see all of you, because that means that we survived our bicentennial kickoff event on Saturday out at Wildlight. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the event and then hand over to Ms. Back. First, I want to say thank you all for attending and helping. It means so much to have your presence, participation. I'm disappointed I don't see the chili cook-off belt with Commissioner. You do?
He's waiting for his turn.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, sir. And I want to say it meant so much to the folks that came out there that you were there. They really enjoyed it. They enjoyed getting to talk with you, and we appreciate it greatly. So I'm going to step back about 6 months ago when we first started this and briefly say we reached out to our partners and our friends and said, hey, we are rewriting the Nassau County Vision 2050, and our best way of engagement is to do that through these bicentennial celebration activities. And they said, yes, sign us up. And then we said, plot twist, you're going to have to be outside in January for 12 hours. And they still all came, and they still all participated. So I think that that means a lot and says that people really care about Nassau County and want to be a part of our future. I do want to recognize some of the folks that came out to join us on Saturday. Of course, we had Senator Yarborough, Representative Black. We had Congressman Bean. We had Commissioner Taylor as our MC for the day. And then at the end of the day, I know often people have, they give thanks to the people that they see and the people that are out front, but really that day would not have been executed if it wasn't for some extremely important people and the county staff. I want to thank Ms. Jormby. I think we became the best friends, or maybe worst enemies, over the last 6 months. I don't know how you feel about me, but she put in so much time and effort to make sure that we were doing everything that we needed to do to pull out this event. Mr. Podiak is here. If his team had not stepped up and been a part of this event, I don't know what would have happened. It would have been absolute chaos. So really, you could walk past just about any county employee, any sheriff's office employee, any fire rescue employee, and know that they participated in this event. So moving forward through the year, our upcoming activities, we're not done. We have a whole year. We're going to be working on our opening of the beaches in May, which will be an event on the island. We're going to be out and doing a 4th of July event celebration with the town's joint celebration with Callahan and Hilliard, really taking that event and taking it up a notch. Next month, we have, on February 17th, we have Nassau Night with the Nassau Pride, our first professional basketball team. They're going to be inviting folks out. And then throughout the year, we'll be doing and adding lots of activities and events all throughout the county. And I have to say, our number one partner in making all these events happen were the Amelia Island and Convention and Visitor Bureau folks. So when Jay Robertson and I kind of sat down and we were looking at this, we realized, wow, this is a lot to take on. And they stepped up and they said, we want to be a part of this. We want to support the bicentennial. More importantly, we want to support the Vision 2050 plan. Let us help. And so they stepped in, brought their expertise, and really, again, thank them when you see them because they were such an important partner in making sure this came off professionally and safely. And hopefully you all enjoyed it. And they were really the driver behind that. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the events or the bicentennial before I hand over to Ms. Back.
Any questions? No, sir.
Commissioner Farmer. We have any idea how many people?
How many
showed up for that
people?
thing?
I
'Cause
knew that was good.
I
We
tell you,
don't,
it was-
unfortunately. So we didn't really have a way to count, and we did talk about this yesterday. We don't know. I mean, throughout the day, we know it was quite busy early on. We had a little bit of a lull, and then in the evening time, I mean, over 1,000 came for our headliner. Oh, we're going to go 2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So our headliners were Flip Turn, our local well-known indie rock band, and we had a lot of folks show up for that show, and so that was really great, and that was really a younger crowd and a younger demographic, which was the intent for that, to get those folks out there and introduce them to Nassau County and say, hey, here's an opportunity for you to engage and learn about what we do. It was a lot.
Yeah, the collaboration between local vendors was just phenomenal too, To look around and see that these people are all rooted in our community is
Yeah.
what I'm excited about.
Awesome,
And
yeah.
You walk out there and see these folks, and I mean, you get to see them in the street, you get to see them at the grocery store, you get to see them in your neighborhood. I mean, that's a testament to Nassau County, man. It was really, really cool. It was a cool event.
I agree, and I'll say we have gotten so many people follow up and say, wow, we saw this, we want to be a part of it. How do we engage? And so I think there's an avalanche of new opportunity that came after that event.
Any other commissioner like to?
Okay.
I would just like kudos to you and your team.
Thank you.
And I'm sure under commissioner comments, we'll be repeating each other on all the folks to thank, but you were the central person in charge of this, right, county manager?
Oh, yes.
So the lion's share of the kudos go to you.
I appreciate that. I was told I was the only one that would get fired if it didn't.
We had that discussion.
Well, Commissioner Martin, thank you for coming out and opening the event and introducing everybody. So, but again, it means a lot. We had talked to other counties and cities about their events and their celebrations, and they had said one of the harder things is to get your elected officials on board with this. And we saw the exact, right?
I was like, Brandy, we're like
Yeah.
cheering you on the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we expect, we're going to take this and use this as a model and share this with other folks. And really, that was one of the things they said. And we said, not ours. They're here, and they're winning contests. And
We're calling you, checking on your mental stuff.
Yeah.
You okay, Brandy?
She actually did. She several times.
Okay.
Do you need a hug? Mental breakdown. We were breakdown number 3, and we were good. We were good. All right. Well, thank you all. Okay, sorry.
Just to, piggyback on that, we were all there. And we
You were all
there. We were all there he was there all day with the chili. I'll go ahead and raise it again. And I know that Commissioner Hupman, myself, and Commissioner McCullough and Commissioner Gray, were there for a good part of the day too. So, it was good to see everybody there.
You absolutely-
We definitely had a quorum.
You were all there. I hope we didn't lose Commissioner Gray on Saturday. I talked to him on Sunday, so
He was there.
No, he was. I was kidding. Casualties from the event, But no, it was. You were all there. You were all, and several of you helped in very different ways, including helping carry things. And nobody was shy about offering assistance or greeting or doing whatever it is. And it was a real team effort. So
It was very well run. Kudos.
thank you. All right. Well, now I will hand over to Ms. Back, our planning director, to talk about vision.
Thank you, and just to echo what Brandy has said, we want to thank you all for your support, for attending, for coming to the Vision Tent, and we see this as a very successful event. We were very happy with our consultants and sub-consultants who attended the event, and the response from the public has been tremendous. So everyone appears to be very happy to live in Nassau County, have great things to say, are excited about the future, and that's very heartwarming for us. It's been quite a whirlwind week. It's about as exciting as local government can get, in my opinion. And to build on that momentum, we have postcards here that have the QR codes. The public's welcome to have that. We have, I believe, about 5,000 of those, so don't anticipate we'll run out, and it is also on our website. So we really encourage folks to complete that survey. There'll be a statistically valid survey going out to residents in the mail. We encourage folks to complete that as well. But we have multiple avenues for getting feedback and engaging the public. I saw at least Commissioner Martin and Commissioner Huttman at the MLK parade. That was well attended, and folks were super happy to receive the swag and the postcards and participate in this. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll be speaking at the EHAC this afternoon in greater detail. We had our consultants and sub-consultants at the Planning Advisory Committee meeting last night, just before the PZB meeting. So, and that went really well. We got some great feedback from our PZB board members. And we're just encouraged and looking forward to the upcoming year, and all of the events that we'll be participating in. But happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner McCullough.
I know we talked about this, Ms. Beck, but I don't know if the other commissioners had the opportunity. I spent quite a while in the tent reading the postcards, and I think, sometimes we get caught up in, 90% of the calls we all receive on our telephone are negative, or we're solving a problem, or, you get like they want a rash solution instantly. And when you go through that tent, like just the amount of, when you were reading, I spent so much time reading the postcards, the positive things, people genuinely love living in Nassau County. I
Exactly.
mean, there were so many cards, and it was a wider range. You would see things like, this was about my backyard. I watched it change. And I asked Ms. Beck if we were going to scan those. I want to make like this mural wall here in Nassau County. Somewhere we've got to figure out where this is going to go, because I think those are like a time capsule, just a unique piece in history of who we are. The people who came out, they're excited and they participated in this visioning plan. And when you're reading some of the things, people are okay with change. They just want, when I looked at where you had the stickers going, like what are your priorities? Things where I had thought in my district, oh, are they? Okay,
Yep,
yes,
they're right
ma'am. When you're reading the sticker boards, things that I had thought for my constituents were one thing, and then you come over here and you look at, wow, there was a whole lot more stickers in this area, or something we were focusing on in 23 we may have accomplished, and now we're looking at a whole new sticker. So I think public input, that's ultimately the whole goal of why we're here, is to serve our residents. And so the more residents engage and the more postcards we put in people's hands, and the more, that's how we shape our county, is strictly resident driven. And so I thank you for your hard work and effort in trying
you.
to align that visioning plan.
Sure. And just for a number, we do have an estimate of 600 people that came to the tent and gave,
Information.
their response in terms of the dots on the boards that are back there in the back of the room, or did the coloring sheets and the postcards. And the consultants are planning to stitch that together to have one large image of the postcards. And then during the comprehensive plan process, the thought is that those cards will be mailed back to the folks that completed them as a reminder that their engagement effort was paid attention to, and to see what they were thinking a year prior.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other commissioner have a question or comment?
It's exciting times.
You answered my question without me
The
asking.
600,
The 600
right,
people at the
right.
visioning tent.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to say was, I was here, not here, but my wife and I participated in the Vision 2032 back in 2007, late 2007, 2008. And I got to tell you, this one event was better than that whole process was back then. This is 100%, well, I guess you can't get better than 100% better, but this is a much more professional, it's night and day from the way it was done back in 2007, 2008 for the 2032 visioning. And so kudos to county manager and your staff for getting Half and Associates, the consultant, on board with this, because they're, like you said, they were at the Martin Luther King Jr. parade. I was, Commissioner Hupman, myself, and Commissioner Gray were in that parade, and then Commissioner Hupman and I went to, there was a presentation and ceremony at the MLK Center where Half and Associates was there, taking pictures and interviewing people and things like that. And so I was surprised. I figured they'd do the parade, but then when I saw them there doing that, I'm like, wow, we are getting our money's worth, because
Right.
what'd you call them, pop-up events?
Yes,
And they did it throughout the county too. So you guys, I'm sure, attended on the west side of the county, and you probably saw them over there too. So kudos to the entire staff for a job well done. I'm looking forward to how this is going to progress to the rest of the year. You got anything, County Manager?
Yes, so just quick follow-up, that it was really interesting, the pop-up events you mentioned. So they set up at the Ace Hardware in Yulee, the New Hagen Ace, and then at the Winn-Dixie in Hilliard. And so the interactions at both Ace and at the Winn-Dixie were tremendous. The number of people that were talked to, but more importantly, the demographics, the people that were touched between the four events over the 48 hours, there was very little overlap. So they were just different demographics. The folks at Winn-Dixie were different than the folks that were at the MLK Day Parade. And so it was a really good cross-section of the county all in one bit. And so to your point, it will continue throughout the year. There will be numerous opportunities to engage. And so great work by Elizabeth and Brandy in pulling off this weekend, and thank you all for participating.
Do you have anything else under County Manager business?
No, sir.
County Attorney business?
I have no business, thank you, sir.
County Commissioners, and we're going to go in a different order this time.
Look at you, spicing things up a year later.
Commissioner Farmer, you've been holding that belt up there, so we're going to start off with you.
Yeah, I appreciate appreciate all the fanfare. I was gonna wear this thing through the whole meeting, but it wasn't made for the heavyweight division, and I need an extender. But I'll hang it here so you guys can see it, and for all the other challengers out there, you can read it and weep. We'll start out with this past Monday, attended the MLK Parade over at the New Bethel AME Church there in Callahan on Page Street. I'd like to thank Pastor Cooper, Bishop Blue, Sedestra Jordan Chapman. They did a fantastic job. The message was don't go backwards. And and I'm gonna tell you something, I think that's a tremendous message. It's how we live here in Nassau County. We don't go backwards. We learn from the past and we move forward in a positive direction. The Patricia V. Williams Concerned Citizens Group that I belong to is a wonderful group. And if you want to put your money where your mouth is and volunteer somewhere over in our community on Callahan, here at west side of Callahan, that's a great group. I'd like to thank Joel Pace would be the change. He had his group out there. They large part of the parade, West Nassau High School's ladies soccer team, Coach Shannon Hartley, had awesome participation. I'd like to thank Sheriff Bill Leeper and the Nassau County Sheriff's Office for the traffic control. And last but not least, our county judge, Jenny Higginbotham, for coming out. So we had a tremendous event over on the west side as well. We continue to build on that, and I think every year it's just going to get bigger and better. Like to thank everyone that was involved with this bicentennial event. I think that it was great to see that the Sheriff Leeper and his leadership, we had a working collaboration between Nassau County Sheriff's Office and the FHP with our local law enforcement officials to keep everyone safe out there. Gil Langley and the AICBB and their staff done a fantastic job. Of course, Jay Robertson, I knew that the guy hadn't slept very much. I could look at him and tell, but he was still his normal self. He was running around 800 mile an hour with a smile on his face, telling us, hey, nobody can do this like me. And I have to say that he was correct. Miss Brandy and of course everyone else that played a role in it, a tremendous event. It was outstanding. As you guys can see here, I brought home a award as a humble and fierce competitor that I am. I'd like to announce that we had the winning chili recipe. Had 16 hours of preparatory time and about 12 hours through the course of the event. And I'd like to thank my team, Brian J. Hay, Wes Watson, otherwise known as Cowboy, and my friend Joey Rayberg, we ran under the team Loggerheads because everybody loves a sea turtle. And we had 6 different peppers in our chili. It was cooked in there. I knew when I sat up next to Manny from the Ritz that he was my neighbor. I knew that when I got to a certain point there, I was like, I don't think I should mess with this anymore. And I still had about a half a gallon of one pepper and about a quart of another pepper. And I said, I'm not going to go anymore. I felt like if I go anymore, I was probably going to be too spicy and it's going to put me in the ditch. So I decided that I would stop there at my sweet spot and give Manny a taste. Manny came back over and said, Clint, don't touch nothing. Don't touch nothing. I said, well, that tells me all I need to know. So when you're cooking next to the Ritz-Carlton, with a guy that does this for a living and feeds people every single day, and he says it's good, I know it's good. So, like I said, I just like to thank him, and the hundreds of people that came out. We served 9.5 gallons of chili out of that cast pot in those little 2-ounce cups. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. My poor server there, Joe, man, at certain points he just couldn't keep up. I mean, he just ladling it in those 2-ounce cups, putting those little wooden spoons in there, and then I had Wes up there doctoring it up, and had a little bit of cheese and a little sour cream, and we had some different style crackers and stuff. So it was just magnificent though to see everybody come together. And it was funny because a lot of people, they never know how I'm going to dress or how I look. And I had specifically dressed down, so I was wearing the oldest pair of overalls I had and the most holed up, shirt that I could wear. And it was funny, I had several people come over and say, are you that councilman? And I said, well, I'm not a councilman, but, I'm the commissioner. Yeah, I guess that'd be me. And so it's comical, to get to interact with people on a little different level. And then, of course, this one individual came over and he chewed me and said, I just got through chewing Commissioner Martin. I came to chew you too. And I was like, well, that's cool. Go ahead and chew. I said, if you made it past Commissioner Martin, then you're good, And so it was
exactly what that
it was comical, He came over. Man, he stood there, and I'm like, can we not just enjoy the day here a little bit, guys? I mean, it's kind of like being in business, and then I hate to bother you on Sunday call that I get every single Sunday. I hate to bother you on Sunday. I said, that's a lie. It's a lie right off the rip. Why would you lie like that? So it's comical. But that's who we are as people, and we all get those calls. It's a testament to who we are as a group of leaders, and we value each and every one of you. But yeah, on a Saturday or Sunday every once in a while, it's not a bad idea to give us all a break because, we all deserve to live a little bit. My sister got 7 phone calls on this past Sunday from the same guy in church. And she finally answered on the 7th call and said, sir, I'm in church. Is there any way you could just leave me a message? But that's the world we've come to. So, as you see your neighbors, tell them to be considerate, be kind, be patient a little bit, because I think that's one pitfall, I think, to these phones where you can just look up something and you got the results instantly. They think that all of us just fall out of the sky with a parachute with a tool bag to come fix things instantly, and that's just sadly not the way it works. But anyway, I won't ramble on that any further. The last but not least, I'd like to congratulate all of our fine employees at Nassau County Fire Rescue. It's really, really great to see people serve here 25 years in the fire service. Chief Kelly Gunnell, and I heard some others there that I knew, Paul Kay, and some of the others I know personally. Good group of people. And I tell you right now, those guys have servant hearts. Fire rescue and public safety is not an easy job. I'd also like to thank Mr. William Johnson at the Road and Bridge Department, who I know, and Darren Marsh, his supervision over at Road and Bridge. I'd like to just say that articulated machinery like that road grader is definitely not something that's easy to use. They kind of hit it on a little bit, but I'll go ahead and tell you from an equipment operator standpoint that, that blade underneath that machine is called a mold board. And you got to know how to use that mold board to properly cut the road, to crown the road, to cut heavy materials off and reshape it. And there's, some 16 handles in that thing. And it's more difficult than flying an airplane, I'll go ahead and tell you that. So I'd just like to let those guys know that we appreciate them, and we're working hard for you guys to become more and more efficient every day. And I'm proud of my staff, and I'm proud of our employees. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer. Commissioner Upman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, I'm just going to echo about the weekend. It was just fabulous. I really enjoyed the vision tent where you could go in and through the day watch people specifically give feedback instantly about areas that they wanted to focus on. And that particularly helpful. I would say I wasn't surprised at the results of watching that visual thing come out through the day. But the great thing there is it tells you where your planning and focus can be. Second, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment as chairman of your Essential Housing Advisory Committee. What I'd like to ask is that staff, last year the state passed SB 102, which you know is the Affordable Housing Initiative for the state of Florida. That contained a lot of programs and intricacies that are changing the way we're doing business in the county. So with the focus on that, workforce housing especially, essential housing, I'd like to ask that at the strategic planning meeting that we have coming up in February, that we put that on the agenda and have a discussion about it. Because even the state this year had to come back and rework that bill because of some of the concerns about, you know, developing an industrial area when you already had an industrial project that was so we do things best when we put a program in place and we take a look at things. So I'd like to move to my fellow members that we put that on the agenda. We start having a public discussion about what 102 looks like in our county and how we can engage in a public-private partnership there and have a program that's effective for the citizens in Nassau.
This is the Live Local Act.
Yes, sir, the Live Local Act, SB 102, yes, sir.
So I think you already did it, County Manager. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't need a vote.
Nope.
Take input from individual commissioners for
We can do that.
strategic planning.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Okay,
there you go.
thank you, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. That's all I have today, thank you.
Commissioner McCullough.
Echo what they've said. I mean, we were there at the 200th celebration. What a testament to Brandy and her team's work. I mean, our county manager, it was great. You know, I had my girls with me and they were about 5 hours into it, and I think we had passed Mr. Ironman and his wife, and I think the girls' faces were like frozen solid. Mr. Ironman's wife was trying to talk to the girls, and they were at this point 5 hours. They were just shaking. I said, "Bet you listen to Mama next time I tell you to put on an extra coat. It doesn't matter how cute you look. Cute don't matter when you're warm." And so we just enjoyed it. That's why I say that, because there was so many families there, and the visioning, tent coloring, from the food trucks, everything. It's good to see. You know, sometimes we go to events and it's the same crowd, you know, with their input, but I saw such a diverse, and whether we were talking, I know in our one-on-one strategy, when we were talking about visioning, the whole goal was to get out of and into the community. And so when to see them at Winn-Dixie, I know for a fact, you know, even if I go to Winn-Dixie or to the Yulee Ace Hardware, it's going to be two totally different crowds. So I think it's important that we're, as commissioners, getting out there, we're telling, okay, look, this visioning opportunity exists here. You know, you don't have to go all the way, you know, for some people going all the way to Wildlight is a task. So, okay, Saturday, while you're at the grocery store, spend 2 minutes, put a couple dots down, have that piece. They can scan their postcard, engage. It's just so important in 2024 that residents are taking action and giving their input to what we want to see the next 25 years shape out and look at. I know everyone participated in, you know, different Martin Luther King activities. We've, at the school, we spend a whole month learning, and then I would say all throughout the year, especially teaching FFA, our students do a lot of leadership opportunities. And so if you've not had the opportunity to read back through some of Dr. Martin Luther King's journals, it's the students, I think sometimes there's always the perception that, you know, it was just about, okay, equality. But when you go back and you read his journals, what a true desire for leadership Dr. Martin Luther King had, and calling out leadership in every single individual. How can you be a leader in your community? How can you be a leader at your church or whatever group you're in? And so I would just encourage, you know, people to take that time and go back and read through some of his journals. It's easy to Google a quote or look at a quick calendar clip it, but some of those journals are just so enticing as trying to be a leader in my community, going back and just getting that encouragement that we all need, because sometimes this seat isn't always the easiest seat to sit in, and you just need, people have been fighting for leadership and good quality, sound leadership. And so go back, read some of his journals. I promise you, you will be encouraged tonight. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner McCullough. Well, as usual, everything has been said, almost everything's been said that can be said. So I'm just going to say ditto to everything my fellow commissioners talked about with the bicentennial and Bill Langley and the CVB, Brandy Carvalho, Elizabeth Back, Congressman Bean, State Senator Yarborough, State Representative Black, Port Authority Commissioner Justin Taylor for emceeing. I mean, kudos to all of you. the Martin Luther King Junior Parade. I attended in Fernandina Beach and went to the luncheon afterwards. And one thing that I just thought of now, as Commissioner McCullough was talking about the message of Dr. King, Commissioner Huffman and I were there, and we listened to the historian who's a local in the black community here. His name is Mike Kegler. I think I got that right, Mike Kegler. And he gave a really inspiring presentation in the history of Dr. King. And what he focused on the most was, and hopefully that constituent that said he chewed me out and then went to you, and I think County Manager Pope got to experience. I know Ms. Back got to see a different side of me in action with that constituent, because there was nothing that was going to be able to please him. And he was getting angry. And he got to a point with me, and I'm going to link this in a second. He got to the point with me where, after trying to answer his various questions half a dozen or more times and getting 3 or 4 words out of my mouth, and he would interrupt me and stop me, and I could see he was just getting more and more angry. I just said, just have a nice day. Have a nice day. So what's my link there? Because I could see that was starting to get out of hand. What Mr. Kegler was talking about was nonviolent protest. If you don't agree with something, there's no reason to go to do anything that's just to stir the pot or hurt somebody or damage people's property and things like that. Nonviolent protest. So that was the main message that I got out of that from Mr. Kegler. There are many other things that he said that I thought were very insightful and very good, and I thought I knew a lot about Dr. King, but he educated me. Kudos to Mr. Johnson, 30 years. Doing something for 30 years anywhere is an accomplishment, so I appreciate his service to the county, his expertise, and all of the firefighters that were recognized for 25 years of service. So,
Mr. Martin?
you want your nickel back?
Maybe just a penny?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you 2 cents.
Okay, 2 cents. I wanted to congratulate him on 30 years because, especially in my District 4, there's a lot of dirt roads, and when they were talking about that, one of my constituents, he was a former grader operator, so keeping up with his road is very hard job for any grader man to do because he likes it done a very certain and precise way. And, when you sit there and I'm listening to this man, I truly think it probably takes nearly a decade for them to be able to please their constituents, to learn that craft, to actually, I was talking to our Mr. Companion, the amount of calls obviously in my district because the roads are torn up. I mean, it just won't quit raining. Poor Mr. Pope, I pulled into the bicentennial celebration and actually part of my car was dragging with me, I believe since Kohler's Ferry Road is when I hit a bad washout. It's just impossible to keep up with the amount of dirt roads that we have with the number of employees that we have. And they are working. I mean, my grader man, I know the county road is working Saturdays. Sometimes I've seen them even on a Sunday afternoon. They are just relentlessly trying to give safe roadways. And so I would ask the constituents, just bear with us. We are nonstop grading through the rain, but there's nothing I can do about Mother Nature. If I could get it to quit raining, I live on that dirt road. I now know, Mr. Pope, I pulled into the thing and he's like, let me just see. Well, he gets down on his hands and knees and God bless this man. He pulled off, it wasn't a little piece of my car, was it? I don't know what it was called, but it was the whole undercarriage of my car got ripped off by the dirt road. So just slow down, give it some time. We are grading every square inch that we possibly can. So thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned.